This podcast is hosted in collaboration with the Comsmith, the Peterborough podcast. We're sharing stories about why Peterborough is a great place to work, live and play. Would you like to introduce yourself first and tell us a bit about why we're here and your role within the Chamber of Commerce?
Yep, so I'm Zoë Brennan and I'm the Events and Training Manager at Cambridgeshire Chamber of Commerce. So I think I was asked on here to sort of share a bit more about what it's like to be an events manager, but also within the Chamber and obviously the things we've got going on in Peterborough itself.
Okay, so what is it like being an event manager then? I mean, you must have across an entire county. That's quite a role.
It's a big role. It's a big amount of space that we cover. There's chambers obviously across the world actually, but specifically within the UK we're quite a large one of the amount of space that we cover. But yeah, the role is quite a large one. We do 110. I say 110, I kind of laugh because every year we do a bit of a recce of how many events we've done, and we always say 100 plus, and last year when we did our end total count we kind of said it's 110, so now I can say 110 plus events a year. I can officially say it, yeah.
Right,
so 110 plus events a year, and they range from all sorts of types of events, so really small sort of round tables with really important people. We have the local MPs and stuff join us for those, but then some really big events as well, large exhibitions, conferences, dinners, so all sorts of stuff.
Okay. So how many members are there of the
a lot. So across Cambridgeshire and Peterborough we have hundreds of members, really high amount of hundreds of members across Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. So and we kind of say we're a membership organisation, but we don't just support our members, we support all businesses across Cambridgeshire and Peterborough specifically. But any business that wants to grow, that's our ultimate aim, is to help businesses to grow and be that voice of business as well. So we have that lead into government through the British Chambers of Commerce, so we're a member of those. So we support absolutely anybody that wants to be part of our community, really.
So if somebody wants to grow their business, they might have an idea, or they might have an issue, a problem, a challenge.
Yeah,
you are there for them.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got so many different types of support available, whether it's sort of from our lowest level of membership, which is the Protect package, where you just want those services where you might need your HR or legal tax helplines, to all the way up to our sort of patron members, who get all those sorts of seats at the tables with the important people. They can come along and meet those people that they really need that lobbying into government. So right from the start all the way to the end, we've got our SMEs, and then we've got our really big players, especially within Peterborough. It's quite huge, but across all sectors as well. So yeah, we're completely agnostic of size and sector at the Chamber. That's kind of our, I guess, USP, but also the international growth side as well. So we support businesses to grow internationally. So we can do all your export documents, but we can get you talking to those people. I think we actually brought a member to Ghana once to get them over there to expand. So yeah, all sorts of stuff. So when I say the role is, my role is within events, everyone across the Chamber feeds into all sorts of parts of the business. So yeah, very interesting.
Okay, and how did you first get involved with it all?
I've had quite a funny journey, I guess, where growing up I always wanted to be a midwife, so completely different to what I'm doing now. That was my goal along throughout school, throughout sixth form.
So very, it's a
completely different. Yeah, don't do that on the side or anything. We haven't got that part of the Chamber. We do all sorts. We don't do we don't do midwifery.
Okay. Deliveries of a different
yeah. So yeah, that was my ultimate goal, and it didn't really work out. I actually did an apprenticeship, so I'm very pro apprenticeships and that role into work, but actually it didn't. It ended up actually being a really great experience, but then it actually led me to think this is probably not my thing. So I didn't really know what to do. All my friends had gone to uni. I was visiting them all the time, and I thought, I really want that uni life, but I also don't want to do that course anymore. What do I do? And I actually just picked a course, which I don't recommend doing. I picked a course.
What, randomly?
And I went to Lincoln University, which I absolutely adored. I love Lincoln so much.
Great
yeah, amazing. And I picked journalism just because I've always I've loved writing and media and all that sort of stuff. And I just thought, you know what, that sounds quite fun. And I thought uni would be cool. So I ended up going there. I think I was there for 5 weeks. And I thought, I don't know why I've done this. This isn't really me either. And I knew at that point I just picked it to have that uni experience. And that's a lot of money to just have the experience. So I quite rightly said, this isn't for me, pulled out. And when I came home, I'd been working in my local pub since I was 18. So I'd got a really good group of people in there that were all looking out for me. And someone there worked for St Neots Town Council, which is where I live. In St Neots. So they said, oh, there's an administration role at the council. Why don't you apply for that? And I've not really done anything like that. I thought, don't know if I'd be good enough. You do have that sort of imposter thing. And I got the job. I was there for 4 years. And through the town council, they run their community events. So the Christmas lights switch on. We did Armed Forces Weekend, the Dragon Boat races, all sorts of stuff. And the events manager there kind of, I think, maybe saw my interest and passion in that sort of thing, and ended up sort of stealing me into her team a little bit to do the administration for those events. And we worked quite closely with the chamber. So we used to do the business showcase, it was called. It was the chamber and the council, and we used to do that on St Neots Market Square. And that was my first introduction into the chamber, actually. And I didn't really know what it was. I was younger. I was kind of, what's the chamber? What do they do? And then it hit COVID, and I was working from home. I was furloughed for a little bit. But within the council, we were still there to support and help the local community and the residents. So I was kind of working from home, but I was getting a bit, okay, I need the next thing now. It was a good time to look elsewhere. And the chamber came up with an events coordinator role. And funnily enough, the weirdest time to start on an events role, because it was COVID and there was no events, but they were looking to sort of get that person in ready to when they were coming back.
They knew that a lot of people would want to be out and about.
Eventually that was going to hit that time. So I applied, got the job. I did my interview online. I think they do that all the time now, but then it was kind of like oh my gosh, got to do this on Teams. This is really strange. So the previous CEO and my manager now, Sadie, I had my interview online with them, and I got the role. So when I started there was no events, and it was at that time where they'd go, okay, events are back on. So we'd go full steam ahead, and then right at the last minute they'd say, oh no, can't run that event. You can't be out. You can't even be outside. So we were on and off for a while, but that was an interesting time to start an events role, definitely.
Yeah. So you've had, in that regard, then, you've gone into things and they haven't worked out 2 or 3 times, and then found something that suits you.
Yeah.
So in a way, even away from commerce, you kind of can give, a little bit of experience of what it's like sometimes, where you need to find the right path.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Businesses as well, but we work a lot with organisations that are trying to, to be honest, help with the skills gaps that we've got. That is a massive issue. But we work with the likes of Constructive Pathways, and our local educators. Inspire to Ignite are one of the organisations that we work with, and about getting those people that aren't in work, employment, education, or training, and getting them. Being able to give that story of it might not work out and you might not even get the results that you want, because I had that during my time at school, and wanting to be a midwife, you needed some good results. So and kind of hitting that point where you think, I don't think I'm going to make it. I don't think I'm going to be able to do what I want to do. So having that personal experience where when we do work with these organisations, they've got these people coming through that think, I'm not going to be able to do anything because I haven't got the results, or I can't sit an exam. Which is a huge problem. Some people can't sit in a classroom and do all the exams. So being able to give that personal experience of it can work out, and actually you might end up doing something you never thought you could do or thought you would do, and end up loving it. It's quite funny with events, because if I'd have really thought about it when I was younger, this is absolutely the thing that I should have looked at doing. I was always the planner. Growing up, I was the birthday, the holiday, the planner. And I don't know why I never thought about it as a profession, but it worked out eventually.
It seems like you didn't know it was a profession.
I think
that
that's
you were
probably
aware
it.
of.
Yeah, and actually I think there is maybe a bit more work to do on making sure that people or the younger generation do know what is available. And actually, if that's your passion in your personal life, did you know that there's this role, this profession available? And maybe if I had, I'm glad that it worked out the way it did, because now I'm in a place that I absolutely love, and that probably wouldn't have happened if I hadn't have had that journey beforehand.
No. You mentioned there about the skills gap and trying to get people to tell us about that, because obviously it's a UK problem, but it is one also county-wide as well.
Specifically in Peterborough, yeah. For sure. So the Chamber itself is the employer representative body for the local skills improvement plan. We're really proud of that, and actually have been quite commended for the amount of work that we do within Cambridgeshire and Peterborough in our LSIP. And we work with our employers to make sure they're telling us where those skills gaps are, and then we're working with our educators and our training providers to make sure that they're then training these young people in the gaps that we have, rather than everyone leaving with the same skills and there's not enough jobs available in that market for them. But apprenticeships, internships, we work really closely with our combined authority, so they work in partnership with us on the LSIP. And making sure that we're really finding out what the employers need, because without that information, we can't help on the other side. But we've got amazing employers within our city and our region, but we've got some amazing educators as well, and we work really closely with our educators. We've got ARU Peterborough, we've got Inspire Education Group with Peterborough and Stamford College, we've got the Technical College. We've got so many amazing educators, and we work really closely with those to make sure that their offerings are matching the needs of the employers. But yeah, a massive skills gap, and something that we hope that our work is really helping with.
In previous podcasts, one of the things that's been very noticeable is that the employers are working a lot more along the educational system. So it's not like you come out of college and instantly, all right, go and get a job there.
Yeah.
There's that whole journey, if you like.
Absolutely. Yeah, I see much more of that. And so many of our employers say, oh, we're taking on interns and apprentices, and they're staying with us. And they're actually, I mean, it's massive for the business to be able to have someone from the start, and you can train them exactly how you need. And they stay with you because they've got that loyalty to you then. And we see that massively across our sector. But so many of our educators are working, like you said, with our employers. And we see that sort of that relationship that hopefully we've played a part in facilitating, where they've met at our events and we've made that introduction. But so many of our educators are working with the employers that we know in our region, and yeah, making sure that they are going all the way through, and they're not leaving school thinking what is available. They're getting them from that early age when they're going into the schools, and making sure that they've got that piece of education with them.
Because it's so difficult for young people at the moment, isn't it? I mean, you must see all sorts of stories and anecdotes from young people who don't know where to turn. Maybe they haven't found their vocation, like yourself.
Exactly. And that's a big part of it. Yeah, and even in a personal sense, we have business leaders even, and you think that their children would never have an issue because their parents are so well connected. We've got some real business people that work for huge businesses across Peterborough and Cambridgeshire as a whole, and even their children are struggling to find those roles. And if you think, well, they are the most connected person I know in Peterborough and their child can't find a role, you just think it's really difficult out there. But there are so many untapped pools of talent as well for the businesses that are struggling to recruit, and we work really closely with HMP Peterborough, for example, and a lot of our employers work with them as well. So Constructed Pathways that I mentioned earlier, they've got a great relationship where they do support prison leavers. But the likes of Dragonheart Homes in Peterborough, huge employers for people that are leaving prison and then get trained while they're in prison and can come out straight to a job. So I think actually you've had Nell on the podcast already, one of our very wonderful board members at the Chamber actually, and yeah, she's a big supporter of all of that within recruitment. There are other avenues and there are untapped pools of talent as well, which will hopefully along the way solve some of those gaps that we've got.
You touched on it just briefly there, networking. How important is networking, and how has it changed? Because social media, LinkedIn,
exactly. Well, yeah, funnily enough, people always say how important. I have to say it's important because it's kind of my job to facilitate. So I will always say it's important, but it really is important. There's so many success stories that we've seen where people have come to things and built relationships and then grown their business, and it really is that what we love to facilitate and see. We love to see the success that comes from it, and we hear those stories of, a bit like I was saying before, where people have ended up working together and have built really great relationships. So networking is super important, but it has definitely changed. And I think we went through a period of time of wondering if it would go back to normal. Like I said, I joined when it was through COVID. So is this ever going to be like it was before? And it definitely is. I mean, people love to get out and about, and I think they treasure that more now. They love it more because they remember the time when they couldn't get out and about and meet loads of people. So it's definitely changed. I think we went through also a phase of, do people still want the webinars as well as the in-person events? Because it means they don't have to leave the office. They might be working from home, and actually they don't need to pop out and meet people. They can just do it on a webinar. And there are different ways of facilitating that. You can have breakout rooms and everything on these webinars. So it's definitely changed in a sense that I think people value their time more. So people will really think, is this worth my time? Because I'm taking time out of the business. And it's making sure that we prove that it is. So when they get there and they have that really great experience, and they're not only meeting people through networking, but they're learning something. So our events always have purpose. So we typically kind of shy away from, and there's space for all types of networking events. But we make sure that when they do arrive, they're not just meeting loads of new people or people that they already know and continuing those relationships, but they're learning something new. So our speakers will be giving them that growth for their business, really. It could be marketing, it could be finance, it could be something that they can actually go away and implement and hopefully ultimately grow their business. Right. So,
and what challenges are businesses facing at the moment? Because you must have heard also, not to get too political, or you might do, or it might be the fuel costs or whatever.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely see more of that, but labour costs, massive. That comes out. So we have our quarterly economic survey, and the last 2 quarters, the labour costs have been over 80%. A struggle for businesses, and we've obviously got business rates, which this time didn't come out too much as it has previously, so hopefully that has helped, but the labour costs is still a massive thing. And actually, I mean, we do a lot of work, so we gain this feedback from our businesses because it's really important for us to hear directly from them. We can't guess, and we can't lobby for businesses if they're not telling us what the problems are. So where I say the lobbying comes in and the voice of business, that's where we use the British Chambers of Commerce to make sure on a government level they are hearing that lobbying, they're hearing that voice, specifically from businesses within Cambridgeshire and Peterborough, because they can't guess. And actually we might be facing something completely different to what they're facing up north. We all feed into that same body, and we really do make change. So the Employment Rights Now Act, but when it was going through a lot of issues with day one rights, and our Director General at the British Chambers of Commerce was actually sat in the room of those decision makers. And it was quite funny, we had the British Chambers of Commerce at an event recently, and he kind of made a light-hearted joke saying she wouldn't let them leave the room until they'd made a change to it. And I can quite imagine that is actually true. It received royal assent in the end, and the work that the British Chambers had done through feeding into from the voices around the country was that will absolutely kill businesses. So the changes were made, and we're quite proud to say that was actually something from the Chambers of Commerce that worked, and that's that voice of business. So going back to the surveys, and it's so important that people do feed into them, because that is the types of change that it can make.
Yeah, because some people might think, oh, well, I'm just filling in this survey.
Another survey.
Yeah, exactly. In life, there's plenty of them, aren't there? What you're saying there is genuinely that it can lead to change.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, well, that's excellent. So how many events do you do a year, and what sort of things have you got coming up? Give us an overview.
Yeah, we've got lots coming up. So well over 100 a year. So yeah, over 110 events a year, and all sorts coming up. So specifically in Peterborough, because that is absolutely the reason that we want to be here today, to shout about how amazing the city is. So the Chamber is 100 in Peterborough this year, so we're celebrating our centenary.
Okay.
The Chamber itself has been going for 109 years. So Cambridgeshire Chamber was 100. It will be 110 next year. It's got another anniversary coming up, but Peterborough was adopted 100 years ago. And we're really proud of that, to have been in the city for that long, supporting businesses. So this year we've already started, but we've had a whole year's worth of plans to celebrate that. So monthly networking, we already do lots in the city anyway, but we really made sure that every month there was one specific thing that was celebrating Peterborough, but also enabling businesses to implement something into their business. So we did have an employment rights breakfast back in February, I believe. We had the Peterborough Growth Summit at ARU Peterborough in January. That was the most oversubscribed event that we've had, compared to the numbers that we could have at the venue.
Yeah, it was really popular. I saw a lot on social media about that one.
We had all of our so we had the mayor, and we had all of our MPs and the leader of the council. Yeah. We had everyone there. So that was, I mean, a big draw. People wanted to hear from them anyway, but they were working together, and it was amazing to see that they all had that same vision. But we had some really, really cool business leaders there as well. Another three of our board members within Peterborough, actually, Mike Green, one of our board members, but he hosted for us, so he's already a big draw. We've got Olivia Seckham, and we've got Rob Facer. So they all sit on our board, and they were all speakers that day. So we knew it was going to be popular, but I don't think we quite believed how oversubscribed that event was going to be. And ARU Peterborough have already made jokes about needing to expand, actually, based on that event alone. So really, really popular, that one. And we've had events every month since then. So the Holiday Inn in Peterborough West, I've kind of made the internal joke, but with Ben and the team as well, that it's kind of become my second home this year.
Last week's guest.
Yeah, yes. I know. Yeah, brilliant. That was a really great podcast, and Ben's brilliant. He's I always say he's not just a hotel manager. He really cares about Peterborough itself and its growth. And it's people like that we love to work with, because they really do believe in it. But we're supporting them quite a lot this year with some of our events, and they're supporting us. So we had a business dinner in March. We had Kevin Byrne, formerly of Checkatrade. So we had him speak at our dinner in March, and then we've got loads more coming up. So as well as that monthly networking piece, we've got our flagship exhibition in June. So on the 11th of June, we've got CAMS B2B North. We do one in the north, one in the south, and that attracts hundreds of people through the door. And we have 70 plus exhibitors, speakers throughout the day, loads of stuff going on. So that's coming up very soon, and that is at the Holiday Inn. So really excited to be there for the first time this year. And then our next big thing in Peterborough is our centenary dinner. So to kind of culminate that year of celebrations, and that really important piece, is our centenary dinner. That's at the cathedral, so 400 plus people for the dinner there. And we're also going to be announcing the Peterborough Top 100 at that. So nominations currently open, but at the end of May they'll close. And rather than celebrate the businesses sort of on their own. We're celebrating the people. So actually there might be somebody that might not have ever been able to win an award because they're normally for the business itself, and we've got like likes of rising stars, so normally they might not be recognized at these awards dinners. And actually if you've got someone in your business that is kind of coming from the bottom and is working their way up, so we've got rising stars, we've got the business leaders, the civic leaders, community impact. That's been a massive one. I mean, a bit of a spoiler, I won't give numbers, but that's actually been the one we've had the most nominations for. And I think that just shows Peterborough for what it is, the amount of people that do a lot for the community.
Yeah, that should be something, shouldn't it? That's
it's going to be amazing. Yeah. I'm really excited just to be able to recognise the amazing people we've got within the city, and actually it will lead us into our future. So this is our first kind of really large scale awards, so we'll be able to continue this and replicate it across Cambridgeshire as a whole as well. So yeah, really excited.
So I was going to ask, what's the ambitions in the future? That's obviously one of them.
Absolutely, yeah. Awards is kind of something that I think we've always found a lot of people do them. There's awards everywhere. I mean, we've got the Peterborough Telegraph Awards here. We've got the Peterborough Community Business Awards as well. And we're kind of in that space where we support the other award ceremonies and we make sure that the Chamber feeds into that. But we don't want to oversaturate the market. There's a lot of awards, but actually we've got that USP this year where it is 100 years in Peterborough. And rather than go same as a lot of the other awards and the business names, we're really giving those individuals that that limelight really they deserve. So eventually that goal is to replicate that across Cambridgeshire. So like I said, we'll be 110 in Cambridge next year. So that will be that one. And then after that, completely broaden it out and make sure we've got our Cambridgeshire Business Awards within the Chamber.
You mentioned Cambridge there. And obviously you mentioned St Neots earlier on as well. We're sitting in Peterborough.
Yeah.
And it's a big region. How difficult is it? Because there must be different challenges sometimes in Cambridge to what there are in Peterborough, to Ely, to St Neots, whatever. Yeah,
absolutely. And actually, Fenland is an area that we cover, and that is so different to anywhere else. So it is really making sure actually that not only are we engaging with those businesses in a certain way, because everyone works differently across in all these different areas, and actually we cover Stamford as well. So Stamford is obviously in Lincolnshire, but we have adopted Stamford, so I'm really proud to have that as well.
So actually, borderline, isn't it?
It is, and we were always there anyway, so it always made sense. But having that sort of Stamford all the way to sort of the Fens and Ely and Huntingdon, all the areas that we cover everywhere is so different. I mean, you've got Cambridge and you've got the digital and the tech side, and then we've got a massive manufacturing space in Peterborough and Huntingdon. So it's really different across everywhere, and it's making sure that we are supporting businesses in the right way in those areas, because you could go into Cambridge and run an event on something that everyone in Cambridge absolutely could not care less about. That is not what they need. And I'm not saying that people in Cambridge stay in Cambridge and they don't come to the Peterborough events. They do. They travel across the county, but it's making sure that we're doing the right things in the right areas, and that takes a lot of planning, I guess. Yeah.
I think, I know from experience of living in Peterborough for quite a while now, and sometimes Peterborough feels a little bit left out because we've got the prestigious city of Cambridge with a university that's known across the world.
Absolutely.
And Peterborough is sometimes seen unfairly as the lesser part. You must hear that as well.
We do. We hear it a lot, and actually I'm kind of hoping, and I'm kind of seeing actually firsthand that narrative changing. I think the people in Peterborough, and we see it a lot in the business community, are proud to be in Peterborough, and they're shouting about it a lot more. I mean, at the Growth Summit in January that I mentioned, that was I felt a real turning point of where our speakers, but our guests as well, were all kind of saying, we're really proud to be in Peterborough, and we're not just telling each other, we're shouting about it. And that was one of the things that came out of it, was making sure that people that aren't in Peterborough are hearing how great it is, and making sure that the people that are already in it don't leave. And I think we're seeing more of that, people staying in Peterborough. And with our education system now and the partners that we've got in Peterborough, it's making sure that if they are growing up within the city, they don't have to go to university elsewhere. They can stay in the city and then get a job here and work, and just be proud of living and working here as well.
So our podcast banner is that we like to think that Peterborough is a great place to live, work and play. What would you say about that? If you were to say that to describe how that's true in 60 seconds or so, what would you say?
It's so funny. Well, I'm not going to waste my 60 seconds, but at the Chamber we see it everywhere, because it's not just the business side of it. We see the visitor economy side. We've got our cathedral. That's just amazing for the visitor economy and people coming in. We're in Allia right now. We've got Peterborough United next door, and they bring thousands of people into the city every home game. And what an amazing club it is. So we've got, and the eateries that we've got in the town. We've got some real, not just the business side of it, which is obviously amazing, but we've got some real draws into the city. All of the places that people can stay, we've got the hotels, so we've got the eateries, we've got the hospitality. And I think, people that are in Peterborough can be really proud to live, work and play here, definitely.
Excellent. I was thinking, if you're thinking of starting a new business, if you have an idea, if you want to, got an entrepreneurial side to you perhaps, what would be your steps that you would take, bearing in mind that the Chamber of Commerce might be somewhere you were approached first, or it might be somewhere else? What would you say? It depends on the business, or
of course it depends on the business, and it depends what's already out there, I would say, in that area that you're kind of looking to. But I mean, selfishly, I suppose, not even selfishly, but in a biased point of view, the Chamber really is there to help with that, because if you sort of come in, and actually in other countries, which I only learned while I've been at the Chamber, in other countries, to set up a business you have to be a member of the Chamber. So that is part of if you set up a business, you have to call the Chamber and say, I'm launching a business, I need to become a member. And we've had people call us to say, I'm setting up a business, I need to become a member. And we think, oh, that's nice. They feel like they need to. And it's after conversations they thought they absolutely had to.
Wow.
And obviously we make that very clear that we would love to have you, but you don't need to be a member. But you actually absolutely should be, because you've got that support from day one. And it's not just about the networking, which I say often, and I kind of go, although that is important because that is my job to make sure I'm facilitating that. But it's about the whole rest of it as well. If you're on our Protect package and you get all those and that immediate support of making sure that you can get that business live, and then you're not employing anybody yet, you haven't got that HR person in house, you haven't got those skills, that mindset, you've got the phone that you can just pick up straight away and get that advice. So I would absolutely say go for it. I think there is room for everybody. I think if you've got that entrepreneurial spirit, then that is what Peterborough and our region needs. So absolutely go for it, but the Chamber's always here to support with that.
What I haven't asked you about is something that crops up in every single interview virtually that I ever do, and that is AI.
Yeah.
Now, are your members worried about that, excited about it? Presumably a lot of them are using it right now.
Yeah.
So what's the
it's very mixed, and it's so funny because we've done quite a lot of events with speakers that will teach you sort of how to implement it into your business and maybe the risks you need to look out for. And we keep thinking we're overdoing it. And someone will say, oh, we need to get a speaker for this event. And then we say, what about this person? They can speak about AI. And we've had these conversations in the office where we say, are we overdoing the AI thing? And one of our board members quite rightly said, I think we're kind of pushing it now. Every time we put on an event about AI, it is our most oversubscribed event that we do. So at the B2B in June, we've got a speaker about AI there. It is the one thing that no matter how many times you hear about it, you want to learn more because it's changing every day. So I think there is some nervousness around, I mean, some people say, oh, it can replace me and all this sort of stuff. If you use it to your advantage and you use it so that you can save your time and then ultimately make more money because your time is going into something else, then there's absolutely so much you can do with it. And when we use it within the Chamber, probably on a very small scale, but the amount of time that it can save you is just ridiculous. And we've had some really cool speakers actually delve into how you can use AI to your benefit, and we keep seeing people turn up for them. So I think there is still all that learning people want to do, and just making sure that they know exactly how to use it to the best of their ability and not let it take over in a negative way.
Yeah, because I think people are that there's some trepidation about it.
Yeah.
But as you've just said, it can save time, it can save money, and it can add expertise. It might not be an organic expertise, but it can do.
And you might not be in the place in your business where you can recruit. But actually having that AI within your business is kind of already that. You're kind of got this other thing within your business that's saving you time. So you might not be in the place yet where you need that extra body in there, but actually if you're using that and it's helping you use your time for something else, then there's absolutely the place for it. I just think there's more learning to do, and because it's changing every day, there's always going to be more learning to do. So we will continue to make sure that we spread the word on using our experts to do that, because definitely not that.
And to wrap up then, how are you spreading your word? What's your social media? Where can people find out more about the
the Chamber itself is the Cambridgeshire Chamber of Commerce on LinkedIn. We're very heavily involved on LinkedIn, so we're always shouting about not just the things we're doing, but shouting about the community that we've got as well. So that would be our immediate port of call. Our website is brand spanking new, so we went through a rebrand towards the end of last year, hence my badge that I kind of carry everywhere. We've got them in all sorts of bags, making sure that we've always got one. But I was part of the rebrand team actually with our CEO Charlotte and some really cool people that were involved with that. So we're really proud of it. It's modern, it's dynamic, it shows exactly, we invested to show exactly what we are as a chamber. and we're not that sort of old dusty outlook that people typically did have of a Chamber of Commerce. So we've made sure we've invested in to make sure that we can continue to support businesses, and our website is part of that. So I would absolutely love for everyone to go and have a look at our new website that's very easy to navigate, and then hopefully can get involved with us.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.